Hello everybody, it is Tom and welcome to another video. So hey, we are back with more Heartstopper. So one of the great things about Heartstopper is that it is, at its heart, about queer joy. It's about finding your people, being yourself, and being open and unafraid. And so I think it's really important, now more than ever, that we keep watching this show and keep talking about it and keep finding joy in it, even and especially when there's so little to find joy about in the real world. So yeah, so we are going to watch Heartstopper. We are going to enjoy it, even though obviously this season has some things in it that are a little more serious. But yeah, we're going to be here and we're going to be queer and it's going to be great. So today we are moving on to episode 3 of season 3. So let's watch this episode. Let's talk about it. Let's do that. Okay. Good luck to editing me splicing this together because it took me like 5 tries to get this intro. So, all right. Anyway. Oh my gosh, it's so loud. The da-dum just about took out my eardrums. The most triggering sound sets off all my fight or flight. I do like that we have this being kind of a mirror to the first episode of season 2, where we start off with Charlie and his phone, and Charlie's in bed and the phone goes off and like he's really looking forward to going to school and being with Nick. And now we have kind of the reverse situation here with Nick, where, you know, he's just gotten back from Menorca. He hasn't had a chance to see Charlie yet, which getting back from vacation and immediately having to go back to school, that sucks a lot. Oh, and we have a message from Charlie, who in the last several weeks has been not so communicative for obvious reasons. So Charlie says, "Good morning, Heart. Can't wait to see you." 3 weeks has felt like a year. Oh, Nick is so excited. Yeah, and we continue the parallel here with like Nick getting dressed, just grinning the whole way.
Bye, Nelly.
Nelly. Oh, Nelly, I want to kiss your soft little head. And we have a message from Charlie saying, "Are you at school yet? Hurry up, I need to kiss you." And Nick just smiling. After the emotional lows of the previous episode where like both Nick and Charlie were just in such a difficult place, like Nick so far away from Charlie, just sad and scared and feeling alone, and now they get to be together again. I'm sure it feels wonderful for both of them. Oh, and here's the rugby lads. I'm glad he's back to being on good terms with them. They're good lads. Oh, poor Tara, still dealing with all of her, like, as we saw a bit in the previous episode, just feeling a lot of pressure regarding, you know, everything that's being expected of her, and maybe even knowing even now that more academia is not really what she wants to do, and yet feeling pressured to do so because her grades are so good, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Congrats on your amazing GCSE results.
Thanks, miss.
You should think about applying to be prefect.
Yeah.
Tara just looking really stressed. Hey, Darcy wearing the pants, love it.
Since when did our dress code include trousers?
It seems clear that they do allow Darcy to wear trousers, but the fact that the dress code did not already include this option is like really not good. Not good. Don't do that. Give people options.
The sixth form boys get to wear trousers, so why can't I?
Damn right, Darcy.
You look so... you.
Oh, and that's such a great response from Tara. You look so you. I love to see these little steps that Darcy takes throughout this season, figuring out that they're non-binary and just, you know, living their best life. And I really don't think that Darcy could have done that while still living at home with their mom, because it was just such a suffocating environment. And now that they're finally out of that and living with their amazing gran, they can explore these kinds of things and really feel free to do so without worrying like, well, what's going to happen if I forget to change before I go home, or my mom will never let me cut my hair, or stuff like that. So glad Darcy is out of that situation now. And we got Sahar and Imogen. It's good to see Imogen with some friends, because like before, you know, we really only saw her hanging out with Harry and Ben and those guys and stuff. And I'm sure that she had some friends at the girls' school, but she didn't seem to have any close friends. So I really love that she has a really good crew around her now. So texting between Tao and Elle, we have this is true, and then and Naomi and Felix what something. I assume it's something like Elle is nervous about her first day at Lambert, and they're saying like Naomi and Felix will be there, so it won't be that bad kind of thing. They will. Okay, need to get some sleep. Good night. And then Tao says good luck today. Oh, and here we have Elle at Lambert, seeing the message from Tao that says good luck today. Yay, and there are her friends. There's Felix and Naomi. It's really great that Elle has friends like this built into her new school experience. Obviously, it's amazing to have friends from all different backgrounds and all different types of people, but when you are a certain identity, having friends who are also that identity just is priceless. Like it means so much because often they're the ones who can understand things that no one else can. So I'm so happy for Elle that she has Naomi and Felix. All right, we have our favorite teachers, Mr. Farouk and Mr. Ajayi. I like that Mr. Ajayi is wearing a purple shirt and Mr. Farouk is wearing like a purple lanyard. So they're kind of matching in a subtle way. I also love that no matter what Mr. Ajayi is wearing, he always has that rainbow pin. Like we literally never see him without it. And that's got to mean so much to the queer kids at that school, just that even if it's their first day, even if they have no idea who he is, they know that he is a safe person for them to be around.
And the kids won't shut up about it if they find out we're dating.
So we're dating?
Seeing each other all summer, so I hope we are.
Mr. Farouk is so adorable.
I'll see you at lunch.
You'll have to be sneakier than that, or the kids will be saying you're engaged by break time.
I love Ms. Singh. I'm sad we don't get that much of her in this season, but I'm glad that we got to see this. Ugh, I love this song so much. And like this, because we got this clip ahead of time, and I watched and rewatched this clip so many times. Like, it's just, it gets me. And we have Nick turn the corner and Charlie's there. I mean, we've talked about Nick and Charlie hugging like they've just come back from the war. And this is like, it's been like 10 wars. It's been like 100 years of wars that they are coming back from. This is the best Nick and Charlie hug, in my opinion. You can disagree, but you're wrong. No, no, you can disagree, but yeah, for me, this is the best Nick and Charlie hug. There's just so much feeling and so much meaning in this hug. And if I could place myself into any hug in the Heartstopper universe, it would be this one. Especially now. Like right now, I could use this hug, as I'm sure many of us could. And the fact that Nick hugs him so tightly and you can kind of feel how worried he's been, but there's a grin on his face when he meets Charlie's eyes.
Hi.
It could so easily have been awkward too, given what they just discussed on the phone and where they left things off, but like, there's just nothing but love. And this part kills me.
No kiss? Hug first.
The way Charlie says hug first. And they just hold each other. Cries in single.
I heard they're going out.
We have random people walking by saying, I heard they're going out. Really? Snicker, snicker. Get out of here. I'm sure it brings back some not so great memories for Charlie, which it's interesting too, because the way that I read this in the comics, and I don't know if this is representative of what was actually on the page or not, the mood was quite different. The mood that I got from this part in the comics where people walk by saying like, oh, they're going out, was more like, oh, did you hear they're going out? Like there was nothing negative about it at all. And Nick and Charlie were kind of like, ha ha ha, as they left. But here it feels more like your typical like people being homophobic kind of situation. And Charlie definitely looks affected by it. But Nick immediately like puts a smile back on his face and like drags Charlie off to their favorite supply closet. Oh, I love them so much. Why can't all shows be Heartstopper? Where is my Nick Nelson? I love that it's not just them making out. Like they pause and just like gaze into each other's eyes and are so happy to see each other. Like just, ugh. Hamlet 5, Mr. Farouk. So Mr. Farouk has taken over from Mr. Lang. So Mr. Farouk is now their form teacher.
Quiet down, please, boys.
Oh, I love that they're holding hands in class. This is really the first time that they are out at school. And I love that they're being this open about their relationship. It's so, so wonderful to see.
Day one of the school year, don't start acting up already now.
And you just know Mr. Farouk is not going to put up with any homophobic bullshit in his classroom.
It's your birthday on Saturday? Yeah? Do you want to do something?
And this is another very interesting parallel where, like, we had another conversation in this very room at this very desk about Charlie's birthday, also on Saturday. In that conversation, Nick is like, oh, I'm going to get you a present. And Charlie's like, oh, you don't have to do that. In this situation, Charlie is like, yeah, I'm going to throw you a party. And Nick is like, oh, you don't have to do that. So there's just so many great parallels in this show.
Nick and Charlie, keep it down, please.
Nick and Charlie, we're gonna keep it down or what?
I don't know. I don't normally have a party or anything.
It's also very interesting to me that Nick doesn't usually have a party for his birthday. Like, I wonder how or why that came about, and if it has anything to do with, like, disappointing birthday parties with his dad not showing up when he was younger that led to him, like, not wanting to celebrate it later on, or not wanting to have a big thing and then, like, get his hopes up that his dad would show up and then be ultimately disappointed. But I don't know.
Shirt tucked in. Yeah, this isn't Mr. Ajayi's hippie class. You're representing Farouk right now.
I love this isn't Mr. Ajayi's hippie class. I freaking love Mr. Farouk. He is so funny.
I'm going to organise something. You don't have to. No, I want to.
And of course, Nick and Charlie carry on talking at the exact same volume. Like, they don't even lower their voices. Though I do wonder, like, what are the rules when it comes to being in form? Like, are you supposed to be studying? Is it like a study hall? Because when we had homeroom in my school, which form is kind of similar to, like, it was just a free period. Like, you could chat, you could talk, you could play games, you could do whatever you wanted. You didn't have to study. So yeah, so I'd be interested to know, what is the norm for form?
It will distract me from, my brain.
Oh, Charlie. It's good that they've reached the point where Charlie is being so open about the fact that, like, planning Nick's party, having something to focus on, will distract him from everything that's going on with his mental health. And seeing Nick being kind of smiling, and then just, like, you can see the play of, like, concern and just we know that Kit does amazing with facial expressions, and this is no exception.
See you at lunch then. Picnic benches.
I feel like Nick is really good at reading other people, especially Charlie, because, he's obsessed with him after all. But he immediately spots the fact that Charlie is still feeling uncomfortable about eating in front of other people, even if it's just their friends.
Choose a place you both feel safe.
And in the comics, this was, I think, Nick and his mom looking things up online to get this advice of how to talk to Charlie. But I love, again, that we have Diane here, who is a qualified psychiatrist and can just tell him this information. Like, she is such a perfect resource for him during this.
Mention the things that have concerned you.
Oh, and I love that he's taking notes.
Let him know you care about him. Try to avoid making the conversation about food and weight. It's going to be okay. He's fortunate to have you.
I love that this is how their conversation concluded because, obviously Nick was so upset. He was just crying and scared. And then not only did she comfort him, but she gave him the next steps. If you've ever been in a really low place or been experiencing some mental health issues like depression, anxiety, anything like that, or just feeling crap, for me at least, one of the things that makes me feel better is always having a plan. Writing down, like, okay, this is the problem, this is what I'm going to do, this is how we're going to fix it. Like, just knowing that there's a plan in place, there's steps you can take, it helps so much.
Or we could eat in the art room.
And so Nick just very gently shifts over to, like, oh, or we could eat in the art room, knowing that that is Charlie's safe space and that he would feel more comfortable eating there with just Nick. And it works really well. Charlie immediately looks more relaxed and is like, yeah, sounds good. But as he's walking away, the dark clouds go in and he grabs his arm where he self-harms and just, oh, Charlie. I'm so glad that we get to see him get help in this season, but it's so hard to see him like this. It's obviously a good thing that Charlie was able to admit finally that he does have an eating disorder, but that also means that he can't ignore it anymore. He can't pretend that everything is okay or that he's just, whatever he told himself before. Like, he's obviously managed to explain away his behavior to himself in the past. Now he can't do that. And he's also being faced with the scariest thing of having someone who knows exactly what's going on with him. Someone he can't hide from, can't lie to because they know the truth. And it is Nick, which is good because Nick is the one person he trusts more than anyone else, but it's still a very vulnerable feeling. So I can definitely understand how this would be really getting to him right now.
Look, Elle's posted from Lambert.
Charlie and Isaac exchanging glances. Oh, and Isaac is reading This Is How You Lose the Time War, which I've heard is very, very good. I have not read it, though.
Elle's making a new sketchbook.
I love that we get the minute-by-minute Elle report from Tao here. It's just a picture of her sketchbook. Poor Tao.
I love Elle, yeah, but I don't need a minute-by-minute update of what she's up to.
Honestly, though, like, this is me. Like, Charlie and Isaac are me when one of my friends is super into a fandom that I just do not care about, and they keep sending me things from it, and I'm just like, that's great, but I don't need to know all this.
Oh, it's been a day.
I'm so alone.
I'm so alone.
Okay, what are we, your imaginary friends? You can't keep making your whole life your relationship.
Charlie is, so why can't I?
I would argue that Charlie is making his whole life, his relationship, less than Tao is right now, honestly.
No, I'm not.
Oh, yeah? Who are you eating lunch with today?
So obviously in saying this to Charlie, Tao is meaning to imply that Nick and Charlie are like making each other their whole world, that they're obsessed with each other and that's why they're eating alone. But this must also jab at Charlie because he knows that the reason he's eating with Nick is because, you know, he has an eating disorder and he would not be able to eat a bite if he was eating with his other friends.
Yeah, go on then.
So we have Elle's Instagram, Elle, she, her, make art, not war, and then lots of pictures of Elle and her artwork. And Charlie's, okay, so I guess they're doing like science stuff because Charlie's singing, "We lit a light bulb, we lit a light bulb." So then we go to Tao's Instagram, and his Instagram is all Elle. Every single picture has Elle in it. Tao at this point is really focused on Elle to the exclusion of everything else. Like there's literally nothing else in his life except focusing on Elle right now. Whereas Elle, obviously she loves Tao very much, but she has her art, she has her friends, she has her school. It's just a very different style. Like Elle, healthy. This is a healthy way to be in a relationship. Tao, not so much, but he'll get there. But it is also really sweet that she's just his whole world. Why are they with a goat? Like, when did they spend time with a goat is my question. And Tao here may be thinking deep thoughts about the fact that, yeah, his whole life is kind of his relationship right now.
Mr. Ajayi?
Poor Mr. Ajayi and Mr. Farouk trying to steal a quiet moment, trying to have a nice lunch together, and in comes Charlie.
Mind if I eat lunch in here today?
We were just clearing out, weren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And Charlie just smiling.
Thought you'd be catching up with your friends today.
Yeah, I will. I just prefer eating in here. It's less stressful. My brain isn't good at the moment.
It's a really good sign that Charlie here is willing to confide in Mr. Ajayi about this. In the first season, it took Charlie 3 months to tell Mr. Ajayi that he was being bullied. But now he's just admitted to himself that he does have an eating disorder, that this is a real thing that's going on. And here we are, like the very next day or however long it's been, not very long. And he's trying to open up a little to Mr. Ajayi about it, which, I mean, first of all, it says a lot about how good of a listener Mr. Ajayi is and what a safe space he's able to create for his students. Like this is how you should be as a teacher, creating this environment where students feel safe to tell you things, even really difficult things like this.
That's okay, we all have bad brain days.
Charlie with his little sandwich and apple.
I have a lot of rules about...
And here Charlie starts to try to tell him more, starts to try to like talk about what's actually going on. But as soon as he starts to talk about it, the blackness starts crowding in again. And he can't continue. And then again, we have like the lines, the scribbles tracing over the food, which is a really cool illustration of what he's feeling towards it.
Doesn't matter, it's stupid.
And then he like tries to laugh it off and decides not to tell Mr. Ajayi about it anyway. But Mr. Ajayi, being very, very observant and just a very kind person, notices that something more is going on here.
What happens if you break the rules?
And he asks a very, very excellent question. What happens if you break the rules?
I don't know. It feels like something bad. I know it's silly.
No, it.
Hi.
It's a shame that Nick walks in at this exact moment because it feels like Mr. Ajayi was so close to drawing more out of Charlie, but it just wasn't meant to be. But this whole thing about like having certain rules and what happens if you break them, something bad, not really knowing, but knowing it's something bad. Like I also have a mild version of OCD, not related to food, but related to a lot of other things. It's really weird because it does feel like if I don't do a certain thing, like, touch a certain spot or choose a certain shirt on a certain day, or like move something to a certain place, walk a certain way, or like, cross the street at a certain time, or eat something in particular. So I guess it is food, but it's not only food. It feels like if I don't do those things, something really bad will happen. Someone will die. Something terrible will occur. And it's so hard to put it into words too. And I think when you feel that way, it's not even something like, as Charlie says, Mr. Ajayi asks him what happens if you break the rules, and Charlie says, I don't know. And that is how it feels. Like I don't know what bad thing will happen, but it does feel like something very, very bad will happen. Even to the extent of like someone on Twitter posted saying, to all the people who have OCD out there, nothing you did caused the election results. And I didn't realize until I read it that I had low-key been thinking that I had somehow caused it, which when you say it out loud sounds like, well, obviously that's not the case, Tom. Obviously you did not make this happen, but it feels real. It feels true. Oh, and Mr. Ajayi pats him on the shoulder as he leaves. I think Mr. Ajayi can definitely tell that something more is going on with Charlie, and he wants to help, but he also knows that it's not the sort of thing that he can, like, force Charlie to tell him. Oh, and Nick again, just very perceptive about reading people and reading the vibe or the mood, and he can tell that there's kind of a tension in the air, perhaps, or like some feeling of heaviness.
What were you just talking about?
Nothing, we were just catching up.
And here we have Charlie like ripping his sandwich into pieces because there's very specific rules about how he can eat.
I think he's dating Mr. Farouk. They were sat together when I came in. There was a weird flirty vibe in Paris.
Nick is watching the tearing happening, but doesn't comment on it, which is good.
Char, about our phone call.
But he does try to start them in on the topic because like he did go into this with the intention of discussing the situation with Charlie.
Can we not talk about that? I don't want to think about it today.
And honestly, this is fair enough. Like, obviously it's something that they need to talk about and they need to do something about. And Charlie knows this, but I can also definitely understand, like, just wanting to have a day where he doesn't have to think about it. Because I'm sure it's all he's been thinking about since their phone call. Also, I love the light in this scene. Like, the way that it just brings out Kit Connor's eyes.
What are we doing for my birthday?
And of course, knowing that, like, Charlie said that planning the birthday party would help to distract him from all the things he doesn't want to think about, Nick brings that up next.
That is a surprise. I've planned everything and it is going to be perfect.
Between form and lunch, Charlie has planned out everything for Nick's birthday. But again, we have that word perfect, which definitely factors into the OCD and is always like a bit of a warning sign when Charlie uses that word. And we see Charlie eating like the tiny little piece of his sandwich. I'm not sure if this is related to the rules that he has around eating or if it's a way to make it look like he's eaten more than he actually has, the tearing apart of the sandwich. But, either way, here we are in the library, James's domain. So Tao is lounging, probably stalking Elle's Instagram, and Charlie is napping on Nick's shoulder. I just love this cozy scene of all of them just being comfortably together.
Was I asleep?
Yeah, I think you were. You've not been sleeping well.
Don't know, I'm just got no energy.
And again, definitely a symptom of not eating enough when you sleep more and have no energy. I'm sure Nick knows that.
Elle's good for Saturday.
It's supposed to be a surprise.
Elle's coming. But is everyone coming?
You really do have a big mouth, Tao.
You didn't have to organise a huge thing.
I did. I love you.
I love you too.
Wish I had a boyfriend. James, no.
I love Isaac's response here. No.
I need at least one single friend, okay? This lot have been third wheeling me at every opportunity.
Let's see. So we have Nick and Charlie, Tara and Darcy, Elle and Tao, Zahara and Imogen if you want to get, So it's not so much a third wheel as a ninth wheel, but yes, fair.
Don't you want to be with someone?
The idea of it's nice.
Oh, and they have mental health books. In a season that is really so much about mental health struggles and overcoming those struggles, the fact that the display that they're working on is mental health books, A++.
Well, it's just not what I actually want.
So you're like aromantic?
You know what that is?
Oh, and Isaac is so happy that he's finally talking to someone who knows what aromantic is.
I read a book where there was an aromantic character, and then I thought about what happened with us in Paris and stuff.
James is great. Isaac and James need to hang out more. Like, we need James to be with the group more often so that even if people are split off into couples, Isaac still has someone to hang out with.
All right.
That must have felt so good to have, like, to not have to explain himself and have someone just be like, oh, so you're aromantic.
That's the third time you've rewrapped that.
Yeah, well, I'm bad at rapping and I want it to look perfect.
Again, with the perfect, it has to look perfect. It has to be perfect.
I'm sure he'd love it even if it looked like a used tissue.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong.
You eating lunch there?
So Charlie doesn't know that Tori knows, obviously. And the way that she asks this question is so casual that he does not have any idea that she... What? What is this creepy man on his windowsill? But yeah, I love that she asks him this question so casually, but we know that there's so much more behind it and that she's really paying attention to his answer.
If they've got stuff I like.
And of course his answer, if they have stuff I like, makes it pretty obvious that, you know, no, he doesn't want to eat there.
Happy birthday!
Yay!
Okay, I'm just gonna grab my shirt. I'll be 2 minutes.
Oh, hey, Tori.
Hi.
It's the Tori jump scare just never gets old.
Thanks for the message last week.
Did you talk to him?
Trying to get him to talk to your parents?
Well, thank you for trying.
It's kind of heartbreaking because Tori, I think, knows that she herself does not have the power to convince Charlie to take the steps he needs to take. But she also recognizes that Nick is the one person who can help him. So she gives Nick the tools that he needs and the support.
There's a bus in 10 minutes. We can make it if we go fast.
Okay, you sure you know where we're going?
Yes.
I really wonder how Charlie managed to hide from Nick where they were going. Like, how long did Nick have hands over his eyes? Because I feel like it would have been obvious, like, way before they met up with the friends. Imogen with her. Let's go, Muna. Muna song. I almost got to see Muna in concert, but it was right before my top surgery, and I decided to, like, not go to a place where I could potentially, you know, get sick right before having surgery. So. But yeah, Muna is an amazing, like, queer group, and they have some really good songs. So highly recommend. Everyone immediately pairs off, and Isaac is like, well, guess it's me and my book.
He's like a mini Charlie.
Is he like a mini? I'm not sure I see the resemblance, but fair enough, Nick. He is very cute, and Charlie is also cute.
Seems a bit gay to me.
Darcy has such good gaydar. Like, season 1, Darcy spends half a second with Charlie and is like, you and Nick Nelson.
We should all try to take a selfie.
I'll do it.
Oh, and as soon as the word selfie comes up, Charlie starts backing away. And that's so sad. But again, I have been there for different reasons than Charlie. But like, for me, it was very much related to gender dysphoria.
I'll take it. It's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Tao, in this episode especially, starts putting things together that something is off. Something is not quite right. And even when they take the picture, Tao is still kind of looking suspiciously at Charlie.
The birthday selfie, come on. Hello, hi.
Imogen, my goodness. I love that she says hello to the lemur. Aw, and Charlie.
You having a good birthday then?
The best.
Aw, they're so cute.
Oh, excuse me, ladies. Don't you hate when people call you ladies?
Oh my god. So, like, I so relate to Darcy with this. Like, the two words that caused me the most pain were ladies and ma'am. Like, being called ladies or being called ma'am just made me want to die. So, like, oof, I get it.
Do you really hate it? Yeah, it's just like, I'm not a lady. It's weird.
And again, I think they did a really good job of sprinkling throughout up until we realize what's going on with Darcy, like sprinkling little clues in about what's really going on with them.
You okay? You seem tired.
This week's been a lot.
In a good way? I mean, the pictures from your Instagram look great.
And Tao knows because he's been stalking your Instagram.
It's been amazing, obviously. Just having to make new friends again, finding my way around a big new school.
Even when you're doing something that you really love doing, and like, you know, for Elle, she's wanted this for so long and it's just exactly where she wants to be and what she wants to be doing, it's still a lot. Like, I can definitely understand how she would be a little bit overwhelmed and tired, especially because she literally went like, she was at Higgs for what, 1 year, and then immediately jumped to a new school. So she's had to do the moving to a new school experience 2 times in 2 years, which is a lot.
Look at this.
Poor Isaac just wandering around in the background alone. It really bothers me that I think it makes sense. Use your words, Tom. So I think it makes sense that the friend group has kind of come to feel like, oh, Isaac has his books, he's happy. I think they feel like they don't need, like he doesn't need them to pay attention to him because he's perfectly happy reading a book. And he is perfectly happy reading a book, but he also wants to be with his friends. So I understand why they don't pay very much attention to him, but at the same time, like, the fact that they are all just so wrapped up in their one person that they're not including him, that no one is noticing that he's feeling so bad, it's just very sad. It's very unfortunate, and I can definitely understand why he blows up about it.
Oh no, looks like you're stuck with me again.
Why do you have to be so bitter about me and Elle dating?
I'm not bitter, you've just not been a very good friend lately, Tao.
It's too bad that he's directing this completely at Tao, because it's not just Tao, like it's the whole group.
If you're so sad about being single, what happened to James?
This would be such a cruel thing for Tao to say, even if Isaac were not asexual and aromantic. To make a comment like that is extremely insensitive because you don't know the details. You don't know what actually happened there. Isaac might be feeling a lot of pain about that. So like, Tao is definitely out of line here, but I think he knows that he was out of line. And everybody's watching. Imogen humming nonchalantly. Oh, Heartstopper resumes after ads. All right. Now we've got a T-Mobile commercial. 25 seconds. You're doing too much, T-Mobile. All right, I'm going to take a nap. Wake me up when it's done. Reliable 5G business internet. Oh, tell me more. Okay, that 25 seconds was faster than I thought. All right, and we're back. Tao very, very violently, like, jabbing his chips. Oh, Charlie. This has to be so hard for him. Nick, of course, notices.
Should we go somewhere quieter?
No, it's fine.
And Charlie actually snaps at Nick, which I feel like this is the first time in their entire acquaintance that Charlie has snapped at him. Nick just looks stunned, and Charlie looks stunned, and he immediately apologizes.
Sorry. I'll be fine. Thank you, though.
Oh, the expression on Nick's face.
This is really uncomfortable.
I'm glad Elle says something.
Well, I'm not apologising.
Well, neither am I.
Honestly, I don't think Isaac has anything to apologize for.
Cool.
Imogen is always such a mood. Like, even when she's just there in the background.
Tao and I were just in that obsessive phase. It'll pass.
Yeah, when I dated my first boyfriend, I was obsessed. But I got over it all super quickly.
Yeah, she did get over it quickly. I wonder why.
Kinda thought you didn't really like Ben that much.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess I kind of just like the idea of having a cool boyfriend.
This is also very interesting in terms of Imogen figuring out what's actually going on with her. She would like obsess over these guys, liking the idea of having that cool boyfriend, but not actually liking the experience of actually having the boyfriend.
But when we were actually together, he was pretty boring.
When we were actually together, he was pretty boring. I mean, it was Ben, and he was.
We're supposed to be comforting Isaac right now.
Yeah, none of you are helping, but thanks.
Poor Isaac.
And you go.
Good old Tara. Chips make it better.
What you said to Isaac earlier was kind of mean.
He's been like so passive aggressive about us like all week.
I don't mean to be harsh on Tao and Elle or any of the couples. Like, I totally get where they're coming from. Like, when you find someone who you love this much, it's natural to want to spend all your time with them. It's natural to be very focused on them, especially when there's other stuff going on, which we know there's a lot going on with all these couples. But still, not great for Isaac.
Friends are important. You got angry at Charlie for doing the exact same thing we've been doing.
And I'm so glad that Elle brings up the fact that this is literally what Tao got so furious about with Charlie in the first season. And that is what finally brings it home for Tao. Like, that finally is where he's like, oh yeah. Poor Isaac alone looking at jellyfish. How do fish live in trees? Are you talking about like underwater trees? Because if not, I have questions. So I'm glad that Tao seeks him out and apologizes. And as soon as Isaac sees Tao, he immediately like closes off his body language.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said.
That's okay.
As soon as Tao apologizes, Isaac is like, it's fine, it's okay. I don't think Isaac was that mad at Tao. He just wanted acknowledgement of the fact that they have been ignoring him and it's not okay.
I've been ignoring you guys since me and Elle started going out. I've had like romance goggles on.
So my arms don't bend that way, but I'm very impressed that Tao can do that.
I'm gonna be a better friend.
It's so lovely to see how far Tao comes and like how much he is able to grow and change based on what he learns throughout the series. Because there are some people who are like told about their bad behavior and just double down and dig in even deeper. But Tao like takes on the feedback and tries to be better, which is just really great to see.
I've just felt like a third wheel all summer.
I think you would feel bitter no matter what your sexuality in this kind of situation, but especially knowing that you don't want what they have, but you're still a little bit jealous because they make it seem so wonderful and also you're being excluded. Like, it would not feel good.
Do you think there are any gay fish?
Darcy always with the important questions.
Definitely.
I think that one's gay.
Darcy just put, that one's gay. Again, Darcy's gaydar, impeccable. If they think that jellyfish is gay, that jellyfish is probably gay.
What about the ones who don't fall in love with any gender? Do you think they're okay just being on their own?
I don't think they're on their own. They've got loads of friends.
Again, Nick just reads people so well and knows just the right thing to say to help them feel better.
Do you guys get where I'm going with this or not?
Yeah, we do.
I think this is a really good way for Isaac to come out to them. It comes from a very vulnerable place as well. I think it really does a good job of, first of all, it simplifies things to the extent that people who don't know much about being Aro Ace can understand it. And second of all, it makes it pretty clear for his friends what's going on with him, and he's able to come out to them sort of gently instead of just like shouting, I'm Aro Ace. Oh, and the little jellyfish.
I don't really know how to feel okay with it yet. Being asexual and aromantic, it changes everything I thought I knew about myself and about my life and my future.
And that is really true, because obviously there's so much pressure and so much of just unspoken understanding that everyone will grow up and pair off and get married and have children and, you know, live in a house with their children and their dog or whatever, and realizing that that's not what you want or that that's not the life for you.
I think it's normal to be upset. When I first realised I liked Charlie, I cried at an Am I Gay quiz.
I love that Nick is able to kind of make fun of himself for this now, but it was very, I mean, obviously he was really upset in the moment and it was a very sad time, but like he cried in an Am I Gay quiz. Didn't we all? Didn't we all? I know that according to Alice, Nick's future career is, I think might be like a kindergarten teacher and a coach, like a sports coach, but I feel like he would make a very good therapist actually, but actually maybe not, because I feel like he's too emotionally connected to people and it would hurt him too much seeing people going through those things. Like, he would know the right things to say to them to help them feel better, but it would take a huge emotional toll on him. So never mind. That is also the reason why I cannot be a therapist, even though it is something that I thought about as a possible career path once upon a time.
It's a process.
We love you. I love you too.
And again, with Heartstopper modeling how to react, this is how to react when someone comes out to you as Aro Ace.
Come on, we haven't been to the bug house yet and I want to see some spiders.
You know, I'm good without going to the bug house. Oh, and poor Charlie. Isaac, spiders, are you all right? And here again, we have Tao noticing that something's up with Charlie.
Sorry, I just need to sit down. I feel really tired.
Tao definitely just noticing more and more. It's also really interesting that, like, just when Tao is starting to realize that he's been too focused on Elle, he starts opening up his perception a little bit and noticing what's going on with Charlie, which I think he would have noticed earlier if he wasn't so focused on Elle. Though maybe not, because again, Charlie has been very good at hiding it. But like, it's just interesting that that coincides. How do fish live? Oh, flooded rainforest. Okay, so yeah, they are underwater.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Is there something wrong with Charlie?
I do like that Tao asks Nick instead of asking Charlie directly.
You know something, and you're not telling me.
Yeah, Nick looks really panicked.
So should I ask Charlie?
No, please don't do that.
What's going on? He's been acting so
Tao,
weird.
you cannot talk to him about it.
But why?
Yeah, Tao sounds scared, and I can definitely understand that.
Because he can barely talk to me about it.
That must be so hard for Tao also. Like, that would be so hard for me knowing that something was seriously wrong with one of my friends, but also knowing that I can't ask them about it. I can't try. There's no way that I can help them. But at the same time, like, Nick is totally right. Like, if Tao asked Charlie about this, that would go really badly. And it's also not Nick's place to tell Tao about it. So this is really the only way that it could be. Tara begging Isaac for attention now. Even when Nick is feeling worried and scared and concerned, he always has a smile for Charlie.
What's this? Thank you gift for the best birthday ever.
Aww. And this hug that just turns into Charlie just like resting against Nick because he's tired.
Should we call it a day?
And Nick notices that Charlie has essentially like gone boneless against him and is like, yeah, maybe we should call it a day. Like, he doesn't call attention to the fact that Charlie is clearly completely exhausted. He just, casually is like, yeah, let's call it a day. Oh, good. More ads. Oh, we're back. Okay.
Is this every jumper you've ever borrowed?
Yeah, this is what happens in the comics as well, where Charlie's birthday present to Nick is just a bag stuffed full of Nick's clothes that he's stolen.
Well, they don't smell like you anymore.
And that's so real. Like, one of the best parts of wearing someone's clothing is that it still smells a little bit like them.
You have to keep one. It's only fair.
I love them so much.
There's an actual present, the bottom of the bag.
Wrapped very neatly.
The fact that Nick comments on how nicely it's wrapped. And Nick unwrapped it very carefully too. Oh, the memory book with the leaves on the front. And then the picture of them in the sun. I mean, fair question of who took this picture. I want to say, I think in the comics it was Tao who took this picture, which would make sense. Because yeah, I want to say in the comics, like, Tao took a selfie of himself with them in the background and captioned it like third wheeling or something. But it is a very sweet picture. And yeah, you gave me a photo of us in the snow, so here's one of us in the sun. Love, Charlie. And this is word for word exactly what it says in the comics. Aww.
I love you.
I love how often they say I love you to each other after that first time. It's like any opportunity to say it now. Oh, and here we go again with Charlie sleeping. I mean, he was exhausted, so I'm not surprised. So we have Imogen at the zoo. Came for the friends, stayed for the penguins. Okay, and then we have Jack Maddox. So does Nick follow him too? Darcy, Tara. Tara posted the picture that Charlie took, which you can see Tal still looking a little concerned in it. Oh, I love the way Charlie is staring at Nick. It's also interesting that Charlie was willing to be in this picture, but, for Nick, I'm sure he's willing to do things like that. And it says, perfect day with a heart. And Nick knows it wasn't a perfect day. I wonder, like, if Nick is also looking at this and seeing the front that Charlie puts up, where, like, Charlie posts a picture of himself and Nick, and he's smiling. It looks like a perfect day. He says it's a perfect day. He uses the word perfect, but Nick knows that underneath all of that, Charlie is suffering so much. But this is just the image of himself he's been showing to the world for all this time. He's very good at hiding it. Oh, and he brings out the postcard that says safe place, concerns, care, and no food talk. Charlie actually looks like someone who just woke up from a nap. Like, it's very impressive, actually, because, like, you always see in TV and movies, like, someone who has just woken up, like, they have a full face of makeup on and they look impeccable. Not that Charlie doesn't look great.
I don't want to go home.
If I had a Nick Nelson to rest on, I wouldn't want to go home either.
You're so sleepy, though. Really tired all day.
Using this as kind of the entrance into the conversation. You were really tired all day.
I should go home. Charlie, you know I love you, and I'm really glad we talked about the mental health stuff.
Yeah, as soon as Nick mentions the mental health stuff, Charlie turns away, and like you can see, like he knows what's coming here.
I'm just still really worried about you. It's not just the eating thing. I've noticed you've been really stressed and tired.
Yeah, Charlie just turning his head as far away from Nick as he can. But I'm so glad that Nick is able to find the courage and the resolve to keep talking, even though Charlie's body language is saying, like, I don't want to talk about this.
Sometimes you just seem really sad. I know I've made things worse. I've said the wrong thing.
I don't think you have made things worse, Nick. I think you've only made things better. If you've said the wrong thing, it wasn't the wrong thing. It was just anything that called attention to it would have felt like the wrong thing to Charlie.
I didn't know what to do. I know you don't want me to try and fix you, but I love you so much.
I also love that through this whole thing, Nick keeps contact with Charlie, like physical contact with him, even when Charlie is turning away, even when Charlie is not responding.
I really want you to talk to someone, your parents or a doctor or something like that.
As Nick says that, Charlie like slowly turns back to him and finally meets his eyes. It's interesting that when they had the discussion about mental health at the end of the last season, Nick really tried to hide from Charlie how much it was affecting him. But here, it's just all in his face. Charlie can look at him and see how worried he is, how upset he is. And I wonder if that's part of what finally spurs him to be like, okay, maybe I do need to do something here.
I'm sorry.
He apologizes.
You just don't feel like I could ever get any better.
Oh man, I've been there. I just don't feel like I can ever get any better. It's so hard when you're trapped in something like that to imagine a time when you're not. Like, it just feels like impossible. But the good news is, it's not impossible. It just feels like that.
I promise you can. You just have to ask for help.
Asking for help is scary because it feels kind of like a last resort. And if you ask for help and don't get it, then what do you do? Like, it's terrifying.
What if my parents think I'm faking it? Or they get angry at me?
Maybe I could come with you. I'm probably less likely to get angry if I'm there.
I love that Nick volunteers to come along with him.
I read somewhere that it helps to write things down.
I read somewhere. So yeah, Nick has clearly been continuing like to do research and look online to try to figure out, like, even with the great advice that his Aunt Diane gave him, he's continued to look online and try to figure out exactly what he can do, how he can best support Charlie.
Maybe that could help you talk to them.
And this is such a good idea, like writing it down. I mean, for me, like I've written down important things like coming out to my mom and things like that, but I couldn't read it. I had to send it in an email.
I need to talk to you personally. I've written it down because it's really hard to say.
And Nick just takes his hand and is right there next to him the whole time, like not saying anything, but just there.
My mental health has been really bad lately. I've been finding eating really difficult.
We know that Charlie's parents are good people. They're not perfect, obviously. No one is. Especially Charlie's mom, like they've had conflicts, but I really appreciate that they take this so seriously and really listen to him and understand that this is real and that he needs help and that they get him the help that he needs.
I feel like there's a voice in my head that's not me. Tell me bad things will happen if I eat or do things in the wrong way. And that voice has been getting louder and louder. And I think I've been like this for quite a long time, but I didn't want to admit it. And now it's gotten way worse.
Tori on the stairs listening.
I was thinking maybe I could go to the doctors about it. I want to get better.
I know, Darla. That is the line that kills me every time. Like the way that Joe delivers the line, I want to get better, is just so heartbreaking. I am not crying right now, but I definitely have multiple times. Like this scene gets me very tearful. Like he doesn't look at them through the entire thing, but then he looks at them to say, I want to get better. So yeah, I know. Here, come here. Here's Darla. So you will notice from the clock that it is 8:20. And Darla is used to getting her evening snack around this time. So that is why she is freaking out. But anyway, so this episode is fantastic. They all are. But yeah, this is a very good episode, especially the last however long it is from like Nick talking to Charlie about the situation and then going with Charlie to talk to his parents. You know, again, Nick is just so good at knowing what to say and understanding how people are feeling and what they need from him. I wonder how long it might have been before Charlie got help, if not for Nick. Up until this point, Jane especially has been a little bit like, a little bit iffy about Nick, like worrying like, is the relationship bad for Charlie? Is it affecting his grades? Is it a negative influence? But I feel like after this moment, the entire Spring family is Nick's #1 fan. Like, Nick is the reason why Charlie gets help. Nick might have saved Charlie's life here, quite honestly. And, it's not impossible that Charlie would have gotten help on his own at some point, or that it would have gotten to the point where his parents finally realized what was going on, or like Tori finally spoke up and helped him get that help. But Nick being here, Nick is the one who helped Charlie get to the point where he could admit to himself that he had a problem and ask for help. And that is so important. The amount of strength it takes to tell someone about something like this, something so vulnerable and something that you've been hiding for so long, the amount of strength it takes to ask for help is just astronomical. So like, well done, Charlie. Well done, Nick. Well done, Charlie's parents, for listening and understanding and doing what they needed to get Charlie help. Okay, well, as you can see, it's almost 8:30 and I am usually in bed by 9. We will leave off here for now and we will be back next time with episode 4, which honestly I think is the best episode of Heartstopper. But yes, so thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, all the wonderful things that you do. And huge thanks as always to our patrons who are so amazing and wonderful. Such a great community of people. Special shout out to our Nick Nelson members, Kelly Walker, Paul Z, Ken Smither, Kim Engel, Lauren Javier, Mark Walker, Sarah Parker Schemmelt, and Courtney McAlexander. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for... No, I already said that. That's going to do it for this video. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night or whatever time of day it may happen to be. I'll see you next time. Okay? Bye.